Welcome to the Art of Conversation. It's your girl Alicia C. And we out here recording live. Yo! Wow. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're feeling well this Wednesday. Happy Wellness Wednesday. I hope you've been taking care of yourselves. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. 2025. Whew. What a year. And it just started, right? We're 2 months in? But I feel like February, this is just my opinion. I don't know, maybe some of you will agree, but I always felt like, or maybe it's this year, like the actual new year starts like February, March, maybe even April. I feel like January was like a December plus. Like that's a 13th month. I don't know what it is. I don't know if up is down, left is right. The time, like things just don't seem as it should be, or it just, you can't put your finger on it. Let me know. Is this like a me thing, or it's like a collective thing? I don't know. It's something with timing and just feeling like something's off. Maybe it's the shift that had already occurred. If you know, you know, and we're definitely going to touch on that in another episode. So the word for today is distractions. According to Oxford, distractions are things that prevent someone from giving full attention to something else. Ooh, distractions everywhere. Everywhere. 2025 has given us one hell of an introduction, but do not fear. It is to be expected. Come on. You know, you know. If you know, you know. We're not oblivious and we're not new to this. How many previous years have we experienced before we got to this one? But thank God, nevertheless, that we made it to this year. And God willing, many more. Some have attempted to connect much of the occurrences to previous ones. And we're talking about distractions, right? A lot of the things that are occurring, it has a scent, you know, a scent that's undeniably familiar. Why do I feel like I've seen this before? I've had this before. I've been here before. This, I know how this story ends. That kind of vibe. So while many people try to dig deep and examine the patterns and discover what lies beneath, what are those governmental officials up to? And why is there a flux whenever another president is appointed? So many questions, so few answers. Now, although there are so many distractions happening around us day in and day out, I always encourage others to remain present and make their focus themselves and their mental health. Why? Because it's so easy to get caught up every day, living, life, happenings, distractions, one after another. Is like a game of dodgeball. You dodge one ball and here comes another one coming for your face. You block that, there's one headed for your stomach. Block that, another one headed for your thigh. Just one after another. And you don't get a minute to really regroup and catch your breath. But that's why distractions are what they are, distractions. To keep you from what you're supposed to actually pay attention to. So when there is so much happening around us constantly, you have to make time to cater to yourself and your mental health and debrief. Disconnect. It's a lot. It's always a lot. It's always a lot, and it's always going to be a lot. It's what you allow yourself to be distracted by. Is it a good or positive distraction, or is it negative? What impact does it have on you? So we're talking 2025 and we're talking the world. USA. Yes, it's been a hell of a start. From plane crashes to federal laws changing, sickness. We got more stuff. We thought, okay, well, I don't know. Not me. I knew more was coming. Some thought, okay, after the COVID-19 pandemic, all right, then post-COVID, people were assuming, hopefully COVID doesn't come back, and if it does, and another round, and are we going in lockdown, blah, 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 blah. Now you got bird flu, and then you got TB outbreak, and you got all these, what is it, norovirus, whatever, the stuff that screws with your gastric lines. And many more. I'm leaving some out. I've lost track. That's why I'm like, yeah, I hear it in the grapevines. I've heard, I've seen, I've read, but I don't direct all my attention towards that, because I feel as though once you take care of yourself, protect yourself, everything else falls in line. And that's why I emphasize mental health, because when up there, your mind, when it's healthy, everything else is, because that's what controls everything else, your mind. Brain functional. Yes, yes. What else? Violence, that goes without being said. Communal tragedies. Food prices, the cost of living, affordability. What on earth? This is so inhumane. And that's a separate episode. We're definitely going to hone in and really dig into the control of inflation, what it entails, what that looks like, and what's to be expected. Food recalls. And not only food recalls, but food recalls and then the stop of food recalls, meaning, okay, food recalls, these things are being pulled from the shelves, these things, recalls, okay, cool. But then also food recalls happening behind the scenes, and now we no longer get notified. So how are we going to know what not to eat and not to, you know what I'm saying? So there's that. The usual celebrity gossip news. Everyone heard about, Diddy and the Jay-Z and all these people and all these scandals and these abusers and everything coming to light. Thankfully, yes, justice should be served, and it always is in due timing. And, I'm not naming everything out because it's just, the list is ridiculous. But these are the main things that stick out and has been heavy within the past year and some change that spews into 2025. And lastly is the recent collaboration between Popeyes and Don Julio Liquor, which, again, that's another episode. But these are all distractions. These are all examples of distractions that met us as we entered into the year 2025. Many people have connected what's happening in the world to Simpson episodes, and they strongly believe that the messages embedded in those episodes are foreshadowing what's to come. And although it may appear that way, yes, it may appear that way, I've always believed that even that in itself is a distraction, right? Yeah. There is this notion that they, quote unquote, have to show their hand and tell us what they're up to, what they're going to do before they do it. However, if it's anything that I've taken from that is to receive and proceed with caution. Why? Well, if they are aware that some things that have came to fruition are often depicted in TV shows, movies, etc., more than likely, the masses will direct their attention to those shows. Yes? Because now, again, it goes back to that Something it smells, it seems, smells, feels, tastes familiar. But how much of it is actually real? And you know, I joke, but here's the thing. If I know, right, that we're hypothetically speaking, if I know that you are steadily watching The Simpsons to see what's going to happen next, which means you're tuning in, you're sitting here watching this show because you want to know. Now we created this routine of breadcrumbing you certain things that have or has or eventually played out in real life, real time. If I know you're steadily watching that and that is your go-to on what to do next, what's going to happen next, right? Will I really show you what's next? I will give you enough to catch your attention, distract you, right? And hold it, all right? So not only did I catch your attention, I was able to hold it. And there's the word again, distract. Distracting you from the bigger message and or picture. So now you have many people watching The Simpsons waiting to see, okay, what's next? All right, they predicted president, and then there's a coffin, and then there's this. You know, some of them is interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen or came across any of them. I've seen some of the episodes, but I also have seen people speaking and pointing out certain things that have happened that seem similar to the episode, right? But it's just a thought, right? Just a thought. So with that being said, distractions, right? Let's shift to the plane crashes. So first and foremost, I'd like to send my condolences to those victims' families. Innocent souls. Basically collateral damage, unfortunately. May God bless and bring peace to those souls. What are the American people really being distracted from? Was this a fair tactic to inflict fear among the American people? Is this a way to get some of them or most to avoid or be afraid to fly in the air and travel out of the country, travel out of the United States? Now, if we inflict fear to fly, then we can keep them hostage within our country, within the country. They won't leave. They'll be too afraid. A thought for sure. Now, the question would be, why on earth would you want to keep us trapped if we have the freedom and have always had the freedom to travel wherever we wanted to? You know, there's protocols in place. You need a passport, this, you know, you go through, you know. But nevertheless, you're able to fly wherever your heart desires, basically. Why would you want to keep us trapped, afraid to leave? It's definitely given abusive relationship, doesn't it? And the person wants to leave because you're abusing them. It's dysfunctional, it's not safe. But you, in a very manipulative way, set things in place to ensure they won't leave, or at least be too afraid to do so, meaning they will feel trapped in an already toxic situation. It's like pick your poison. But people should understand and draw light to the idea of, well, if planes are crashing and planes are malfunctioning and just dropping from the sky, where are you going to run when you are on the ground? And you know, some people are like, well, running a building, running in it. Is anywhere actually safe, right? So let's consider the crash, the crash in Philadelphia. It was, I believe, a medical jet. It had, you know, don't quote me because, you know, the news, you get so many different news articles and information. So it's kind of like, you know, don't quote me, 6 people, I heard 7, between 6 to 7, whichever, medical jet leaving Shriners Hospital. Now, just working in the field that I worked at, I'm very familiar with the 2 very popular and reputable children's hospitals in Pennsylvania, in Philly. And one is CHOP and the other is Shriners. So you have this mom who travels to Philly with her special needs daughter to undergo some kind of treatment. Yes. Now, the treatment, thank God, was successful. Now it's time to fly back home, fly back to Mexico. So, it's yourself, your child, it's the pilot, and whoever else, the co-pilot, physicians, and everyone else that they said that was on board. Again, it's a medical jet. And before you can even leave the state of Pennsylvania, let alone Philadelphia, something goes wrong. We don't really know what happened. Some say, malfunction. Some say, the engine blew up. We don't really know. I'm sure in due time and more information will come out, but it's just that information. How much validity should we hold to what's given to us, right? So it's like you just take it with a grain of salt, take it lightly. Nevertheless, the jet lost complete control and plunged straight to the ground, landing near a mall. Now, I say, and I want to point out, it landed near a mall. Some were injured, some died. It caused a lot of damage. And I'm pointing that out because it goes back to, if things are falling from the sky and you're on the ground, they want to make you afraid to fly in the air, which forces you to stay grounded. You're on the ground. You can't go nowhere. So not only you can't leave, it makes you fearful to leave, but you can't take your feet off the ground yet, right now. Maybe it's not safe, X, Y, and Z. Everybody's situation and point of view is going to be different. But the thing is, where is safety if things are falling from the sky while you're on the ground? And again, I want to reiterate that and just continue to do so, because when you have things like that happening, a plane, God forbid, a huge plane just loses control and just drops. It land near a mall, right? So it's like, some people would say, yeah, well, if things are falling from the ground, I'm going to run inside. Run inside? You don't think that when something loses control, there is no telling where and how it's going to land. You run inside, God forbid, like I said, it land near a mall. Near. Thank God it was only near and not on top of the mall. Just saying. Some have questioned, hey, this is no coincidence. I myself, I don't believe it was. Who were the individuals on these planes? What are their ties? What are their current dealings? Did they have plans to accomplish something or speak up and out about something that the mass don't know? Will we ever know? We've heard about the plane crash in Washington, D.C., the American Airlines airplane, which was a tragedy. All of these crashes, everything all of this is just heart-rendering. It's a tragedy. But just to think that this plane was 20 minutes from landing. 20 minutes from landing. And then there's a lot of interviews. And I know I seen one clip where a guy was waiting for his wife to get off this flight. And I believe the reporter, the journalist had asked them, because, he was talking and saying that, she texted and said that she was about to land soon, and they wanted to see the text message, which was out of pocket, in my opinion. I mean, the man is, he doesn't know if his wife is even alive. This tragedy happens and you want to see the text messages? For what? Anyway, the wife texts him that she's landing soon, because they were 20 minutes from landing. How tragic is that? The plane was tragically crashed into by a Black Hawk helicopter, which happens to be a military helicopter. And some of us have seen the footage, and many have questioned, how on earth did this military helicopter, which is equipped with night vision, sensors, and collision warnings. Remember, these are helicopters that are made to fly in all conditions and can be maneuvered instantly. So again, how on earth could you not see this big airplane in your sight? And when you look at the video footage, it literally flew directly towards the airplane. It wasn't shaking, it wasn't going side to side. It just headed straight for it. Was anyone, some question. Was anyone in the helicopter? Was it remote operated? Did a drone have anything to do with it? So many questions. So many questions, so few answers. Who was on this flight? Some of the individuals, we still don't know who actually in totality was on the flight. Most were U.S. figure skaters, young U.S. figure skaters, which makes it even more tragic. They had their whole lives ahead of them. There was an attorney and other people. So yes, this was considered a red flag for some, because roughly 60 years ago, an entire U.S. figure skating team died in a plane crash in Belgium on its way to the World Championship. Any connections? Would we really know? How would they know? Days later, Trump posted, and I quote, "The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good." You don't say, hey, we're wondering the same thing. In fact, some of us is questioning and wondering what you got up your sleeve, right? Yes, we know. We know. We didn't need you to post that. We know. We seen it. The question is why, and who's responsible, and who answers to this? Who answers to that? So then there's this idea of, the irony is that President Trump fired air safety workers who were supposed to prevent incidents like this, which raised more questions about what's really going on and what does our new presidency have up their sleeves. Yes, either way, in my opinion, all of these crashes are very intentional. Again, my opinion, very intentional, but as well, we all know everything done in the dark will come to light. Either way, folks, be present. Pay attention, of course. Stay safe. Watch your surroundings at all times. Keep yourself informed. Educate yourself. Yes, we know that the media, the news, celebrities, government officials, the list goes on. We know people are deceitful, and we know all about illusions and the tricks that the enemy plays on us and our minds, or at least attempts to trick us out of our peace, trick us out of our free will. Don't allow your external factors, your external stimulus, your environmental factors to have control over your mind. Don't let these happenings take you away or distract. There's the word of the day, distract you from what's more important, which is yourself, your well-being, your mental health. If this is happening, this is your chance to sit with self and start figuring out, this is all happening and everything is changing rapidly. If shit hits the fan, I need to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, no cap. Instead of focusing and seeing, oh, let me watch The Simpsons or let me see what's going to happen next, how about you prepare and figure out, okay, all of this is happening. What if? What if? What am I going to do if this were to happen? God forbid. If this were to happen and it's a domino effect, life will be much different from how I've known it to be, how we've known it to be. So now you have to readapt to a new way of thinking, living, being, etc., and more, etc. Why I keep emphasizing mental health, especially now, especially as the high rates continue. When you are mentally healthy and or mentally strong, because we tend to use those two terms interchangeably, you can weather the storm, yes? You can handle, better manage and handle difficult times, stress, what's going on now. You can have a more positive attitude. You can adapt and you can grow. That's what life is all about, ain't it? They are creating hysteria for a reason. It hasn't quite been revealed to us what exactly is happening behind the scenes. But one thing to keep in mind is that Elon Musk and his team has access to the Treasury payment system, which obviously is going to raise many concerns to all of us. Why do you need access to the why? Who are you? Stick to the Teslas. Like, why do you have access to the Treasury system? Why was that even something that you were interested in attaining? What is your plans with the information you'll have access to? Riddle me that. The changes in these laws, the fact that tariffs are being imposed, the fact that we're getting threats about power outages. There's a chance that, hey, you guys might lose power. What do you mean you're taxing us 10%, 25%? What? There's a lot happening behind the scenes. But one thing to keep in mind is that if you're not mentally strong, you will fall. You will fall. So it's so easy to get distracted by people, places, and things. But that's what its purpose is for. To take you away from what is important. To take you away from what is important. To take you away from what is important. Be safe, y'all. Stay prayed and peace out.